Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Nerdy Things podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kevin. Joining me as always is my co-host, Jules.
Heyo.
And this week we have a special guest, Tim. Welcome, Tim.
What up, guys? Kevin, Julian, how are you?
I'm
doing good.
Doing all right.
What's been going on, Jules? I've talked to Tim. I haven't talked to you all week.
Yeah, just been here doing the thing, and I'm fucking sick. Been this past couple of days, I don't know, and like it's my throat, so like that's the one thing I need for like all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's like, come
absolutely.
on, what the fuck?
We're gonna give you a workout today too, though.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. I appreciate it. So first off, I kind of wanted to say thanks to everybody for talking to us on social media and all that stuff at Nerdy Things Pod using the hashtag NerdyCast, and that's really awesome of y'all. And thank you for interacting with us. We did put up a question on Twitter saying, "What's your favorite way of traveling through time?" And a few of y'all messaged back. At Moody's Music said phone booth. At Dorilla said, "I'm going to several hells for this," but he said bathtub.
Obviously,
a bathtub be better than a hot tub. I mean, if they both are an option,
there you go. No,
you want the bathtub be better.
You want the hot tub. You got the jets. Not that I'm saying what you do with that, but that's one option.
That's always a plus. That's always there for you, just in case.
Obviously, the only answer is DeLorean.
Yeah. True.
You read my mind, Kevin.
That's
I was just going to say, at Tim says DeLorean.
Nobody said DeLorean. Forged Steel said TARDIS, which is also a good one.
Yeah.
And yeah, just a few more TARDISes, phone booth, and all that. No DeLorean. Nobody likes it. Huh.
I'm sad. Weird. I'm disappointed.
That's okay. More for me.
More DeLoreans for you. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very rare. So, I got to get my hands on one. So the less people want it, the easier for one for Kevin and I to get. We can race them to time.
There you go.
Race them back in time. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Perfect.
Awesome. So, thanks for following us and all that stuff. Nerdy Things Podcast. Nerdy Things Pod on all the stuff at Nerdy Things Pod, and you can find us and all that. So what happened this week during the whole nerdy stuff? One thing I wanted to bring up was there were a lot of like trailers or just what is it, sneak peeks of things.
We got that leaked Deadpool trailer that they then followed up with the high quality one, which I think is just the awesome way to handle that. Yeah, that was a great. Did you see it? Did you see the teaser? Oh, that was fantastic. They played that at the start of Logan, which I went to see this week, which was, we'll get into that a little bit, but that was an amazing movie. I'm super happy, and I'm not a big fan of the X-Men movies.
As you said last time, about their time travel stuff.
Please.
Yeah, I'll be seeing that on Thursday. For the record, for most of the other nerdy things that have gone on in the week, I'm going to be perfectly silent because my week has basically been working and playing the Nintendo Switch. That's, I haven't had time for anything else. So.
Awesome.
But
we'll get
that's
back to
the
you
nerdy
in the
reason we
half.
have you here. Yep. Exactly.
So
I'll probably offer my opinion anyways because I offer opinions on things I know nothing about. But anyways, just continue.
Sure. So the Deadpool one, that was like a teaser sort of. It wasn't really a trailer, even though it was really long. It was like, what was it, 3 minutes, I think, of him just like
something like that. Yeah,
of him getting dressed. It was amazing. There was a new Power Rangers trailer that I don't know if we needed, but it was cool. I mean, it's really awesome. What else? What do we have? Another trailer we didn't talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer.
No, that was a good one.
That came out. What was another one? The Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know if anybody's still about that, but
nope,
we had a lot of trailers.
Couldn't care less.
Well, we had, I think those were the only ones, but 4 big ones in like about a week span, and everyone's kind of pushing this summer movie, blockbuster event thing. If that's still a thing, I don't know. People just put out movies whenever they want now, but out of those, I guess, for the Guardians of the Galaxy, they could have just told me that there's going to be a second one, and I was already as hype as I could be. Like, I didn't need to see a trailer, but I loved
we're
it.
reaching the
amazing.
point where I'm going to stop watching the trailers so that they don't ruin the entire movie for me. I don't even know when Power Rangers is coming out, but I feel like I'm getting that from that already, where I've seen too much of the Power Rangers. I'm already going to see it. I'm already a nerd. I'm in. I don't need to see more. And Pirates, I stopped caring about that after the first movie. The first movie was decent. after that, it's all a blur. I know there was a giant kraken. I know everybody's died and come back several times.
There
beyond
was a
that,
dead man's chest.
There's a dead man's chest, which was just weird because why are you looking at his chest? He's dead.
Very hairy chest. Yeah, a lot of boat fighting, a lot of things like that, and it's all kind of the same. For that whole series, it all just kind of blends together because it all kind of seems more of the same stuff because you can only do so much with that whole pirate gimmick, but for your younger audiences, I think it's still pretty big, and it is one of the highest grossing franchises out there now. So
which is sad to me. Sad.
Yeah. One thing though, when I think I watched like the first two, or the first one, after the first one, I was like, okay, cool. The first one was cool for me at the time, and I was like, okay, this is awesome, whatever. And then I had the chance to go to Disney World, and I was like, oh, let me go see the ride that this is based off of. Do you know how shitty that ride is? Have you all seen
I do.
The ride?
And they've updated it with Jack Sparrow put in the cell. Like, they've changed it so that the characters of the ride better reflect the movie, which I think is weird. The ride was really generic before.
Yes, it's so bad. It's like,
they updating it was necessary, but was it really necessary?
They should have left it alone.
They should have.
Because here's the thing, like, I went to a Disney World this year, having been the last time when I was 7 years old, 8 maybe. And not much has changed. Like, I know they're opening Avatar World this year, and there's some other stuff coming, but like Disney at this point, the theme park is all about nostalgia.
Yeah.
And so to take that ride that has characters that have been there since 50 something or 60 something, I forget exactly when it opened, and then mix it in with Jack Sparrow for some reason. This whole they opened one whole room, and it's like a cannon firing, and you can hear Jeffrey Rush's character Barbossa, and it's like, this just doesn't. Why did you do this? They didn't update Haunted Mansion and put Eddie Murphy in there.
Right?
Why would they add Johnny Depp? It just didn't feel right.
That's a good argument. We should petition to have Eddie Murphy put in the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, I heard it was haunted though, so
and we should definitely have everything in Tomorrowland George Clooney themed.
Oh God,
I'm fine with that.
We're passing the petition around. It's going to happen.
Put a ton of Clooney's in there. That's fine. I'm all good with that. Clooney's the man.
But yeah, so far, like, trailers, that's when they kind of start getting too much. Whenever you like feel like so much about the movie that you feel like you don't have to go see the movie, right? Like, that's the whole thing. You don't want to see too many, I think.
I'm willing to give it 2 teasers and 2 trailers, and then I'm done. I stop after that. I don't care. Even if it's like Star Wars, which I am a diehard fanboy for, I stop watching after the second trailer because they're going to ruin the plot. Everyone overanalyzes everything. They're looking at, with the top 10 things you missed in the trailer. I don't care. I just want to enjoy the movie when it comes out.
But Kevin, those are super trailer. Did you see that speck of dust in the back corner?
I did.
They're super tempting,
Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah. It had something to do with Luke Skywalker, I swear.
Yeah.
That speck of dust. I don't know exactly, but it.
If you watch, the trail of that dust spells out Snoke. It tells you who Supreme Leader Snoke is. I know.
Watch it in slow motion and backwards.
I'm one of those guys. I get it.
Yeah, those are the trailers that we had this week. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy looks amazing. Power Rangers looks good. I didn't need another trailer about it. I'm gonna go see it.
Nope.
The new what was it? The Pirates of the Caribbean. They showed a younger Johnny Depp. They're gonna go to his when he was younger and stuff like that. Okay, cool, whatever. Y'all do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both great and terrible that we've reached the point where they can just CGI a younger version of that person rather than get an actor that actually looks like them. Like we kind of talked about last week with Looper, where we had Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the makeup and everything. He looked like a younger Bruce Willis. I think it's almost lazy and expensive.
Yeah. Do you think it's cheaper to do the CGI on somebody that doesn't look like him, or to just pay an actor that looks like him? Which one's cheaper, do you think?
It depends on the actor.
Yeah, and I think it depends on how long you need it, because we're reaching a point where we had a fully CGI actor in Rogue One with Peter Cushing there as Grand Moff Tarkin, where they brought in someone that kind of looked like him, who didn't have to have really any acting ability, and just had to stand there and kind of move with him to make him move. So I guess that would be cheaper than finding someone that really, really, really looked like him, especially after the fact that, you know, he's such an integral part, and we have literally hours before we see him again, movie timeline-wise. I don't know. I mean, I think in most cases you can get away with an actor, and just, I imagine that would be cheaper, especially if you have to reshoot or if you have any changes to the script at the last minute, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the CG and the time that it takes and the man hours, that has to add up. Because that, you know, what they did in Rogue One was incredible. Like, absolutely, I was astonished by that. But it's got to add up, the man hours, just to do that. I would think that finding, you know, some generic actor who has more of a lookalike would be...
Yeah, some no-name, just, oh, you look like him, whatever. You can kind of act, sure. We need you for your looks more than your acting.
Yeah. Anything else nerdy happened this week that you know of, Jules?
That's pretty much the big thing. I mean, everyone's talking about what we're going to get into next. So that was kind of on the radar, like, everywhere, just switch everywhere, and just these trailers that came out.
It feels like it's been a kind of a quiet week, mostly. You know, we've had Logan... and we've had the Switch, and you know, no big celebrity deaths that I know of.
Nope.
You know, nothing really released except for Logan, nerd-wise.
Yeah, everybody's just raving about either Logan or what is it, the new Zelda game. So.
Yep, which I'm not going to ruin Logan because, as we said, Tim hasn't seen it yet, but I think it did a phenomenal job addressing my problems with all of the other X-Men movies, and just kind of laid every fear I had to rest, and was just a spectacular movie that has an R rating, that the R rating wasn't just to have an R rating, which is rare nowadays.
Yeah, a lot of my friends that went to go see it said there was still a ton of kids in the movie theater, and I was like, really? I knew this one's going to be a lot more gory and insane. Did you see a lot of kids still going to go see this movie?
There were no kids in the theater when I went. They did a pretty good job of screening, because I went to the theater that, you know, is in the building I work in.
Yeah.
They're pretty diligent on stuff like that, at least warning people. Not that they wouldn't let someone in, but it was mostly adults and people that knew what they were in for.
I saw more kids coming in and out of there than I was comfortable with, though. I do think that parents do, by and large, a fairly bad job of gauging what these kids are, what's appropriate and what's not. They just see superhero movie and they don't really think about what goes into it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't a large bulk,
too.
But I think it was definitely more than I was comfortable with, hearing what was in this movie, the content anyways.
Yeah, well, I see a lot of people buying like R-rated, or what is it? Is it R-rated? What's the video game rating?
Oh, like M for mature or something.
Yeah,
like that.
M for mature. Shit. Okay. Yeah, M for mature games, and people are just okay. Yeah, whatever. I'll buy that for you. And it's like, hey, you do know this is Grand Theft Auto. You know, have you heard of this?
Well, it was. I think the Alamo Drafthouse had a whole series of ads that were basically like, parents, do not buy your kids tickets or bring your kids to Logan. Wow. It is a graphic movie, and it starts off graphic and just goes from there. You know, I loved it. I not that I loved the graphic violence, but again, I felt like it served the story, and I felt like it really set up the world.
Kevin loved the graphic violence.
So you know what? All right, fine. I love graphic violence. I wish I had Wolverine's claws. That's first. Second would be his healing, but I would take his claws without the healing, as much as it would hurt.
What I read was that he can get from just the claws. You can just get like some sort of like diseases and stuff because of the metal and all that.
Well, you need to redo your tetanus shot more frequently.
Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty sure. You know, like that when you get a filling and you get that feeling where you get like the metal in your teeth. It's that. It's like when you run your tongue over the filling. It's just he has that constantly. Pretty sure that's what you're talking about.
Okay.
Well, anything else, we're getting into spoiler territory, so let's avoid that.
So let's get into our main topic. I kind of want to know everything about this Nintendo Switch. I've been reading a lot of people talk about it. I've been hearing a lot of good things, some not so good things, and kind of want to just jump into it. So, why don't you explain
I've been over here at Tim's house for a couple of hours now. Actually, he actually brought it to work yesterday, and we played what's it called, Fast RMX.
Yeah.
The racing game. It's like an anti-gravity, pseudo spaceship type of thing. Really, really cool premise to be able to sit in the break room at work while we were punched out, in case anybody we work with is listening, and have the little tablet on a stand and have a controller each and be able to just race was phenomenal. I mean, it's so portable. It was so easy. The controllers aren't awkward, or at least not as awkward as I thought they were going to be. Uh-huh. The processor on this is fast. The graphics were awesome. I'd give that, just the portability of it, a high marks. Tim, what are your thoughts? I mean, you've played with it a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, I know this is a Nerdy Things podcast, so most people who are tuning in are probably going to be familiar, but essentially the concept with the Nintendo Switch is that the actual system itself is this, when I say little, it's a little tablet. It is, so I brought my nephew, who's 11, to the midnight opening at Best Buy to grab it, and we brought it home, we're taking it out of the box, and his response was, it's like a Nook. I mean, it's not even like an iPad. It's this little thing. The screen itself is like an inch or so bigger than iPhone Plus, and all of the technology is in there. That is it. Like the processing, the GPU, everything is in there. And then you have these little controllers that they call Joy-Cons that slide on and off it. So you can play it as a portable device. Think 3DS that doesn't, fold over, okay? Those Joy-Cons can then be taken off. Each one can be used individually, turned sideways as a full controller. So the system comes with essentially 2 complete controllers, which is the first time I think a video game system has been released with 2 controllers since the Super NES, which is a cool feature. Again, being able to get it out of the box, play with 2 people without any extra buys. There has been a lot of complaints about the pricing of the accessories, but let's start with that. It's 2-player right out the box for $300. Then there's a grip that comes with it that you slide the Joy-Con on each side of, and it becomes more of your traditional button layout controller. So if you're going to play a more serious game like Zelda or something like that, that's probably the way you're going to want to play. They also offer a Pro controller. But essentially the whole thing with the system is I can take it out of the box, either put the Joy-Cons on the sides, play portable, handheld, take this little kickstand out, put the tablet on a table, take the 2 Joy-Cons, play separately that way, or there's a dock that comes with it. Now the dock doesn't really have a whole lot going on. It's basically a piece of plastic that you slide the tablet into. Once it hits its USB-C connector on the bottom, the tablet instantaneously shuts off its video and outputs it into the television that you've connected via HDMI. There's also a couple of USB ports on there to charge some things. I think they're talking about maybe doing external hard drives at some point, although that's not supported yet. But there's, I think, 3 USB ports on there, if I'm not mistaken, and the HDMI out. So that's the system. And the presentation that you get, the graphics, I know that they're not up to Xbox One or PS4, but they're not that far off, I don't think, in terms of capability. There'll be a lot of debate around that until we actually get somebody to tear this down and see what the chip on the inside can do, because Nintendo doesn't really give out that information.
Yeah, but Nintendo also doesn't really care about graphics for the most part. I mean, this is like a party type system. This is something to play with friends for the most part, right?
Well, so here's the crux of it. I think what Nintendo's trying to do is virtually impossible. What they're trying to do is to create a system that can be a party system. There's, a couple of games available right off the bat, which we can talk about, that are really for either casual gamers or pretty much non-gamers. People who don't even play games can pick this up and play some of these games. But then there's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is right now on most websites that gather these scores together in the top 4 highest rated video games of all time.
Yeah, it literally is like the best game ever. Everybody's saying ever since like whatever,
It's pretty much the biggest open world game that's ever been created on a cartridge the size of a micro SD card. And they don't do photorealistic graphics, in Nintendo games, and even the Switch is more of an artistic visual style, although it's beautiful. Kevin was talking about that when we were looking at it. It's a beautiful looking game, but that's a serious video game, so they are trying to court serious gamers again. And part of what they're promising to do, and this is the crux of the power debate, is they're trying to get third-party support. which they haven't gotten a lot of, really since a little bit on the GameCube, but N64 was the last time I think they got, any serious third-party support. The Wii just couldn't keep up. The Wii U was a disaster. But in order for that to happen, they have to use the same architecture that the other developers are using, which they've done that, but the system has to be able to perform well enough for them to easily port over to some of these games. So the question is, are some of these bigger...
They've been so good at making these, like, iconic... Link, Mario and all that stuff.
Yep.
Do they need other people's games? Like they've been so good. I don't know if video games are what Nintendo's strong point is. I mean, I think it's about creating an entire universe. That's what they're good at, and it doesn't really matter about, like you said, the graphics may not be the greatest. I know. A lot of people have said that the graphics are better on the little pad than actually on the TV, which is pretty cool to have it, looking really nice on the smaller screen. But I think Nintendo really excels in creating, memorable characters and a fun experience over creating amazing...
Yeah, I mean, they're good at intellectual property, but I don't think they're going to give up the ghost like Sega did and start making games for other systems when they can continue making money off of their games and their systems. And I think that, to Tim's point, having the ability to have, I mean, this essentially, if I'm not mistaken, runs Android, to have people that develop games for Android be able to develop games inexpensively to play on the Switch with controllers that you don't have to, jerry-rig and bring it in that way would be phenomenal if they can pull it off, and essentially easy from a hardware and a software standpoint.
So here I agree with you, Jules, that the Nintendo is all about their games. Really, you buy a Nintendo system to hopefully play at least one Zelda, at least one Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, some smaller, properties as well. I mean, maybe a Pokemon game if they have it. But essentially, you're buying it to play Nintendo games. But what we saw with the Wii U, the problem with that is games are so big now that the development cycle is years. So if Nintendo can't release a big game a quarter, then the momentum for the system falls off the cliff. And that's what happened with the Wii U. The Wii U had a bunch of really good games. They were all made by Nintendo, and there weren't enough of them. So they have to bring in some third-party support to keep the gaps in between the next Zelda, which will come 4 years from now. And who knows if this system will even be in use 4 years from now. Mario's coming, this fall. There might be a Metroid game. Who knows? But there needs to be stuff in between. One of the things that they're courting really hard, which seems to be interesting to me, is the indie developers. The development tools, the development hardware that you can get is, from what I understand, about $500 for a developer to buy, whereas most systems cost between $3,000 and $7,000. So for an indie company to just go, oh yeah, why would I not pick up a Switch development kit and start making games on there, as long as it's accessible, is another thing. Now, those aren't going to be those big AAA games, but there's 20 indie games coming in the next 6 months or so to this system. And it seems to be there's a lot of games a lot of people are excited about, which is cool. But it would be nice to see Madden. When I talk about big games, they're talking about doing FIFA. EA is going to test the waters with that because they haven't done a game with Nintendo in 4 years, I don't think. So they're going to test the waters with FIFA, but be able to get FIFA and Madden, be able to play Madden on the go, that would be huge. And then maybe something like Assassin's Creed. That's the question. Can Assassin's Creed exist on this system? Something of that nature, because that's a system seller. That's where somebody can say, okay, I want to buy this for the Nintendo games, but I want to be able to play Assassin's Creed. I want to be able to play COD every year, And if Nintendo doesn't offer it, I also have to buy a PS4. I have to buy an Xbox One. So if they can get a version of that game, that is a huge win for Nintendo. Huge. But that remains to be seen. So
that's one thing I wanted to ask you. What made you decide that you wanted the Nintendo Switch? Personally, what drew you to that? Because I'm kind of curious, because a lot of people that do reviews and stuff of video games, they put out the reviews of Breath of the Wild before the actual launch of the system. And was it the hype of that game that brought people to buy the system, or do people really want the system and the hype of the game only made it better? What was kind of your idea on why you wanted that system?
Well, what made me want to buy the Switch was the NES. I've just been buying. I've been buying Nintendo systems or getting Nintendo systems since the original. So, I was 5 years old when I got my first NES, and I got the Super Nintendo not long after it came out. I bought the N64 with my own money. That was the first big purchase I had ever made. Camped out for the GameCube, camped out for the Wii, and I own a Wii U. I'm a Nintendo guy. I don't play a lot of games on other platforms. I'm familiar with the industry. I stay up to date on it because it interests me, but I don't play a lot of games on other platforms. The Wii U had me excited to start with because I liked the concept of it, and I think that could have been a more successful system, again, if they had gotten third-party support. The games that were on there were really good. The Mario games were fun. It was a great Mario Kart, which I love playing. I like local multiplayer, okay? That's lost, in my opinion, in a lot of modern gaming. It's either something you do yourself or something you play with people online. I love getting people over. Or completely,
snubbed out. You can't even, for some games, you can't even do local multiplayer. It's such a shame.
We finally have TVs. We finally have TVs that could support high-def 4-player multiplayer in person, and yet we're all antisocial assholes sitting on either side of the country talking into microphones.
Yeah. Making a podcast.
Or next to each other, talking in the same microphone.
Making a podcast.
But yeah, so I got married 2.5 years ago. My bachelor party was, we played, it just my two oldest friends, and we said we wanted to do the stuff we used to do, and we played Mario Kart on the Wii U. That was a big part of losers had to drink. That's how it was. Yeah. So I love the multiplayer aspect. And the thing with the Switch was, the Wii U, was that they had that, but they couldn't get enough games to keep the momentum going. It sold a abysmal number of units, and ultimately support just stopped. So what really got me going with the Switch was, I think that this is going to garner more third-party support, because I think they're closer graphically to what the other systems can do, but the gimmick, if you want to call it that, because Nintendo always has, people want to call it a gimmick. The gimmick with this one is that I can take the same games that I'm playing on my TV, same AAA quality, Breath of the Wild, full-on console games, and I can play them literally anywhere I can go. And I think people want that. I think portable gaming, we've seen that with mobile gaming being, probably the biggest revenue stream for, I think, all the video games in the last 2 years.
And for Nintendo, that's their biggest seller. All that
they've
stuff.
been more successful in the portable arena than they have anywhere else in the last 15 years. Well, with the exception of the Wii, but yeah, to be able to take these things portable is awesome. So if they can get the games, I think people are going to buy this. There's been a ton of hype around this system. It's the biggest selling Nintendo system in the first 2 days of release in North America, Europe, and in Japan. It's sold in Japan, and console systems aren't selling in Japan right now, so that's a big win for them.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They put out those numbers, or they didn't really put out numbers. They just said that it was the largest selling console, and that's really awesome. That's pretty cool.
And it's in March. What releases in March, video game wise, that gets huge numbers, So if, as the library builds over the course of this year, and they have new Mario coming out in November, the system sales numbers by the end of the year could be approaching matching what the Wii U did over its 4-year life. That would be impressive, and it'd be encouraging.
That's amazing. Absolutely.
So, all that said, the business side and all that kind of stuff, it's fun. Right, Kevin?
It's so much fun. We have 4 games that we were playing here between Breath of the Wild, the racing game. There's also 1-2 Switch, which is just a bunch of mini games that you play. You each have one half of the controller or one Joy-Con each, and you're doing things like quick draw or playing ping pong. And with ping pong, it's not like a regular video game where you've got the screen that's the ping pong table and you're on either side. There's no table, there's no ball. You're literally staring at each other, hitting an imaginary ball back and forth, but you can feel the ball through the controller in a way that feels real. You can imagine that there is a ball, and you can hit it as if you were actually playing the game, and it works. When you were late, when you were early, and the game will tell you that, and you will lose or win based on that, but it doesn't feel like it's arbitrary, which is a lot of my complaint with motion and the Kinect and the PlayStation Move and all of that prior to now, is it sort of feels arbitrary in most ways because it doesn't actually see what you're doing, where this, the sensors in it are just so sensitive, and the rumble pack in it is so sensitive that you can there's a game where you have to tell it how many marbles are in a box by just moving the box around, and you can tell how many marbles are in the goddamn box.
Yeah, I mean, I even think way back when the Wii first came out, I mean, they had that kind of technology pretty well. I mean, even playing what was it, Wii Sports that came with the actual Wii, playing like tennis, just regular tennis and things like that. That was so much fun. And playing golf and things like that, they had it pretty well. And I can only imagine now with the Switch how much that has gotten better with their the new technology and the Joy-Cons and all that. So which way do you usually play it? I mean, there's so many different ways you can play the Switch. That's kind of its thing as well. But which way do you find yourself playing it the most? With a controller, or the two Joy-Cons separate, or with the screen, kind of like the Wii U, or how?
Well, it depends on the game. I mean, like Kevin said, 1-2 Switch is specifically designed for one Joy-Con in each person's hand, and that's fine. There's another game called Snipper Clips, which is really hard to describe, but essentially you're these construction paper characters that go on a two-dimensional field, and you try and complete puzzles and things like that. That you play with the Joy-Cons tipped sideways, and it is basically like a Super Nintendo controller. It's not much smaller, but there's trigger buttons on the top, there's your 4 main buttons, and your analog, joystick. And that is also an appropriate way to play even the racing game on the go. I mean, we played it in the break room the other day. It was just with 2 Joy-Cons, sideways, and the game worked, and it worked fine. I mean, I wouldn't sit there and play a game like Breath of the Wild like that, but it works, So typically, I'm either doing one of two things. Because the least comfortable way to play the system, in my opinion, is with the Joy-Cons on the side of the tablet, the traditional handheld mode. It's just long, so to hold the controllers, to balance it, to use the back trigger buttons is a little more awkward than I would like. It's not unplayable. I mean, I know a lot of people have been saying online that they enjoy it that way. To me, it's just the least comfortable. So if I'm going to, let's say, take Breath of the Wild with me, what I'm typically going to do is take the Joy-Cons off the tablet and put the tablet either on my lap or on the kickstand if I'm someplace stationary. And if I'm really on the go, I'm just going to use the 2 Joy-Cons, one in each hand. So that's another kind of cool feature is you can actually take the 2 controllers, put one in each hand, and it acts like a real, game controller that you can kind of put one hand behind your head if you want. You can lean over sideways. You can, but it's comfortable. It's cool. The grip is my favorite way to play. I haven't used the Pro controller yet, but the grip, basically, the Joy-Cons slide on each side. There's kind of a wing on the back of it, and it mimics what, to me, feels like the closest thing to, if you remember the Wavebird controller from GameCube, the wireless one, which, just because of my history, that's like my de facto controller. Again, I haven't used a lot of the Xbox 360 controllers. Like, I've held them, but I haven't played a lot of hours with them. Same thing for PlayStation. But when I played a lot of games, it was Mario Kart and Smash Brothers in my late teens, early 20s, into mid 20s on those systems. Yeah. We played for hours. So the Wavebird is like my reference controller. And I could never imagine playing Smash Brothers with another controller until I had held the Joy-Con grip in my hand.
And to that point a little bit, as someone who has played a lot with the Xboxes and the PlayStations through the years, this controller does not feel awkward. It's a little bigger, but it doesn't interfere with your hands. You got free motion. You can hit all the buttons, and they're where you expect them to be. So they hit the mark with that, at least.
Yeah, so that's the kind of the way I've been playing. If it's on the go, I'm either turning them sideways if it's an appropriate game, or if it's more serious, I'm using them in 2 hands. And when I'm at home, I got it docked into the screen, and I'm using that grip, and I love it. I think it's awesome.
Awesome. So I think the real question and what everybody wants to know is, have you tasted the cartridges yet?
No, I haven't had the guts
can you get Kevin to taste it? Please.
Kevin.
I have not heard this. Why are we tasting the cartridge?
Boy. Here we go.
Go ahead, Jules. Tell him.
No, I mean, you should just try it. Just lick it. Just lick it once.
Hold on.
I've tasted batteries before. It's
not going to do anything to you.
This is not going to shock me. I know there's no charge in this, but why am I tasting this?
Oh boy, this is great.
What am I doing with this?
Come on, Kev.
No, I don't.
Lick it.
I don't. What part am I licking? Am I licking?
I don't even know. Just lick it.
I'm not gonna.
Just a little bit.
I mean, don't ruin it. But
okay. Nope. That. Oh
what
God.
Does it taste like?
It tastes like burning. Boy. I feel like Ralph Wiggum.
So apparently, what they've done is they've put something on this.
Oh God!
Because of the size of it. I can't stress enough, until you take it out of the box, you really don't grasp how small all of these things are individually. Like, I've seen pictures, but again, I took the tablet out, I'm like, this is it? I mean, this is a serious video game console? It's like, but I could use it as my phone. It could be my phone. Even the Joy-Cons, they're much more comfortable than you guess, but they're pretty small. But the cartridge is like a micro SD card. It's astonishing how small it is. But because it's so small, they wanted to make sure not like little children would need it.
That's almost vomit-inducing. There you go.
Yeah. So it actually did the opposite, because once they wrote about how bad they taste, how bad the cartridges taste, everybody started licking them and putting it in their mouth. And this is actually
awesome.
I think I read like 10 times worse than like the worst thing that somebody can stand or something like that. It's obnoxiously bad, and yes, vomit-inducing.
That's why I've never tried it and enjoyed watching Kevin do so.
I literally just like it was a split second to the tip of the tongue on the corner, so I got the least amount of it and I can still feel it on my tongue.
Yeah, that's what they said. People were saying that they had that taste for a couple days in their
All
mouth,
right.
so.
I'm glad I fell for that. That's awesome.
So we don't have to worry about little children eating the Switch cartridges. That's the bottom line.
Now I'm going to have to go eat some paste to get the taste out of my mouth.
Eat some crayons. Just chew on some crayons.
Kid from Billy Madison.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we learned a lot about the Nintendo Switch and the cartridges, and yeah, that's...
Well, I guess one other thing, just to cap that off, is
yeah.
I can't tell you how good Breath of the Wild is.
I know.
It's beautiful.
Okay. So the monetary cap, what is it, 300 or it's $300, right? Like
the system is $300.
The system is $300. So at first I was, before everything kind of sort of laid out, I wasn't really interested in the Switch, just because I don't have as much time to play consoles at all as it is. But then once I've been watching a whole lot of gameplay of Breath of the Wild, a whole lot of, not walkthroughs, but just them exploring and doing everything. And I'm like, this is the Zelda game. This is it. This is like the new, I guess, like standard, the amazing things that you can do, all the new features and things like that really make me want to buy the Switch. So yes.
When you first start the game, Link wakes up from like 100-year sleep or something like that. He's in this little, cave in some sort of liquid. Who knows?
What the fuck is he? Rip Van Winkle?
Yes, Rip Van Winkle. So you get out of there, and then you get a couple pieces of clothes because he's in his boxer shorts. And you can play the whole game naked, by the way. Well, in the boxers. So say the game creators.
I don't want to see Link Dink.
They say it's really difficult, but you can do it. But Link Dink is there. So anyways, you come out, and right out of the thing is this cliff, and it overlooks a massive part of this world. And the camera pans, and the Zelda Breath of the Wild logo comes up.
Yeah, isn't that like the cliff that they use on all their stuff, right? Like all their promo?
So essentially it mimics the look of like the art from the first Zelda game on NES, which is pretty cool. I mean, for somebody like myself who was obsessed, I drew that in notebooks when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That very scene. So that's why when that opened up, I actually had my camera next to me, not my phone, like my real camera. And I took a picture of the screen and I posted on Instagram, and I said, this is the moment I've been waiting 30 years for. And that's what it felt like. Like when I was a kid and we played Zelda and graphics weren't realistic. When I was a kid back in the day,
we used to have to walk barefoot backwards both ways just to watch Link stand on a cliff.
So and after doing that, we would shut the game off, go outside and play. I know not a lot of kids do that. We would go outside and we would play Zelda. You know what I mean? Like, you'd go through the woods and you'd imagine what it was like, because the game couldn't create anything close to that realistic. It just kind of put it in our imagination.
And now with the Switch, you can actually take the game and go outside and play Zelda.
Exactly. But in more ways than one, it literally is like the moment somebody like myself has been waiting 30 years for. And it was cool, and it is cool, and the game is massive. I haven't even gotten to like the second part of the main quest, and I've probably played for like 8 hours. Part of that is because I'm terrible at it, because it's tremendously difficult. But the other part is because I'm just like walking around hunting pheasants and foxes and enjoying it.
Yeah. I mean, I watched him play for an hour and a half today, and he did nothing. And yet he did everything. Like, he was running around. We actually did a temple. It was a mini temple. There's no real bad guys in there, but it's a great puzzle.
Yeah,
and
where you
the rest
your,
of
like,
that time
powers,
was
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And the rest of the time we were just kind of exploring, and it was amazing to watch. Beautiful game, amazing graphics. A little bit of slowdown when there's too much grass and the sun is shining and everything is sort of hitting it, but I would not complain about it at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of people, had that kind of complaint. The same thing. Just that's the only complaint, that it was just a little bit slow. But then once you put it on the Switch, actual tablet thing, it looks amazing. It looks even better, and it works even better. So
there've been a lot of complaints about the system, from people who have used it, and obviously Kevin is really having a hard time over here with the taste. This is amusing watching him.
Oh man.
But obviously I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but I try to maintain objectivity in all of the things that I look at. But Kevin can attest, like we were talking about some of the common complaints on the Switch. The screen scratches when you put it in the dock. Do I have any scratches?
No scratches.
Okay.
I examined it without even telling him what I was doing.
Yeah. The Joy-Cons disconnect. The left Joy-Con is supposed to be the one. And now I'm sure this is a problem for some because I've seen video game reviewers talk about it. Do we have any desyncing problems?
We had no problems.
0 problems. The other one is the frame rate drops in Zelda. And it is more pronounced on the dock because it's playing at 900p as opposed to 720p when you're in handheld. And do you see it sometimes? Yes. They're in the most intensive parts of the game. It's not like a massive frame rate drop as often as people have claimed. I think people are just being a little overpicky. Now, my question, and this, again, to be determined, my question is this because of the limitations of the hardware, or is this because this is a game that was developed for 4 years on another system with different architecture, with 1/4 of the capabilities, and essentially they ported it over to sell this system? So I'm wondering if these, because the frame rate drops are not random. It's not like it just drops down like to the mid-20s or goes up and down. Digital Foundry, which they do YouTube videos about games and does a lot of benchmark testing, it basically goes from 30 to 20 and then back to 30 again. So it's clearly some sort of algorithm. I'm not technical enough as a programmer, but it's some sort of algorithm or syncing thing where it drops to a specific amount and then goes back up. So that to me just tells me it's optimization of the port.
Sure.
Really. And that if they had taken more time to do it, then it might have been even better. So it'll be interesting to see when we get a game like Splatoon 2, or even more so when we get the ambitious, free world Mario game that's coming out in November, that have been designed for the ground up. Yeah, so Mario's going back. Like if you played Galaxy 2, they were great games, but they were very linear. Since then they've done like the 3D World, which is more like a 2D platformer, but in a 3D space. But they're going back to the sandbox style, like they did with Sunshine and Mario 64, where it is like some sort of hub world, and then you can go to all these other worlds in whatever order you want, to a degree. You get enough stars, you can move on to the next one, but you don't have to complete each level to go to the next one. So it's not open world in the sense that Zelda is, but it's going back to that kind of what I think were the best Mario games that they've done in 3D with 64 and Sunshine, but designed from the ground up for the Switch. So it'll be interesting to see what the graphics look like on that. That'll really kind of tell us how capable this system is, or how closely they can port FIFA, or something of that nature. I don't think Breath of the Wild is really testing what the Switch is capable of.
Well, no, at the end of life of a lot of systems, like the Xbox and the PlayStation, that's when you get games that have the amazing graphics, because they figured out the optimization, they figured out not only the capabilities, but the tips and tricks to make sure that they can really squeeze every single bit out of it. So for a first game, it looks amazing, and it runs as smooth as I would ever expect it to. It wouldn't shock me if they did come up with some fix for it at some point in the future, but I'm not sure how they'd roll that out with the games on the thing as it is. I don't know if they have downloads and whatnot.
Well, there is a downloadable content pack coming out for it, so that does exist. So it is possible that they could patch it. As a matter of fact, there was a day one patch, not only for the system but for Breath of the Wild. They didn't release any info on what it did, but there was a day one patch, so it can update. How much they'd be able to patch what they've done in a port, I don't know, but yeah, it's very possible that they could release a patch at some point to try and smooth out some of those frame rate drops and stuff like that.
Very nice.
Very cool. So Nintendo Switch, should they buy it? Should people buy it? Shouldn't they?
Make the Switch.
What do you think?
Hey, if you're a hardcore console or gamer, you got a PS4 and you're into the modern games, like BioShock, Last of Us, stuff like that, and that's your gaming experience, it's probably not for you. If you're somebody who's played Nintendo games and you love their IPs, it's definitely for you.
Yep.
And I think the other kind of consumer that they're courting now is the PC gamer. Because basically, if you look at what a PS4 and an Xbox are, they're watered down PCs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's what they are. So for somebody who's a serious PC gamer and now wants something a little bit more casual or a portable system, Nintendo's the perfect solution because they're going to be playing those major AAA titles on their PC. So now they get the Nintendo titles, the indie titles, and the portability of it. So I think they have a really good opportunity to take people who have been in the PC realm for the last 10 or 15 years and give them a reason to buy a console again.
Sure.
So
that's a really interesting way of thinking about that. That's really cool. I never thought about it that way. Pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, I'm getting there. Hopefully, good. I'll be getting the Switch sometime soon. That'll be pretty awesome and a lot of fun. So
hey, if you get the Switch, Jules, at that point I'm gonna make Kevin buy it. I've already told Kevin. Right. Like when I pre-ordered it, I'm like, Kevin, you're gonna get it at some point, right? And he in typical Kevin fashion, he's like, yeah, okay.
I know.
Like, yeah, I'll agree. I'll relent at some point. So, but yeah, we're gonna have to. After April 28th, when it comes out, we'll get some online Mario Kart going.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Gonna play some Mario Kart battles and wait for the next Smash Brothers and all that kind of stuff. See, that's what Nintendo's all about, man.
I really like the portability. That's kind of my thing, just because I have Xbox One and I have it on, what is it, the Sentry? Or what is it called? Something where, it has a little screen. It's a little carrying case. So where you can have the Xbox on the go or something like that, and
that's cool.
So it's like a hard case, has the Xbox in. You flip it up, and then there's a screen. It's 720p. It's still really good. Smaller screen, like I don't know how small the screen is, but that's kind of what I like, the portability, the ability to plug in anywhere. And I did have DS and all that, Game Boy and all that stuff. So it's definitely interesting to just be there anywhere and have the screen in front of you, and even the Joy-Cons away from you, like away from each other, and just kind of just lounging there. That's really appealing to me.
Yeah, it gives you the ability to just lay on your back on the floor with your arms outstretched and a Joy-Con in each hand and just play.
Yeah, if I have a room big enough, I'm going to try some Snow Angel playing.
Yep. There you go.
Like make it like lay on your back doing Snow Angels.
Playing
a video game.
I've heard that's the best exercise you can do with the new Switch.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've thought about becoming the gym gamer. Okay.
Oh my God.
Putting the tablet on the treadmill, and can I beat Breath of the Wild while running on the treadmill? You've
got to run when you run in the game. Yes.
The possibility exists.
You're an idiot.
See, I know, but
all right.
I also want to be in shape. I don't want to play this game for 8
round
hours.
is a shape. I am in shape.
Kevin is definitely.
I like round. Round's cool.
So that's the Switch in a nutshell.
Do we have other topics to discuss? I'm the guest here, so
not today.
No, this is kind of
we're getting close. We're gonna talk about what else we've done this week and what we plan on doing. I'm in the middle of reading Spider-Man comics. I'm in 93, I think, still. Clone Saga bullshit. I'm just trying to get through that.
Yeah. So we got to go through what we're going to talk about next week. So
yes.
How'd you want to do that?
Well, I believe last time I chose 2 topics and you picked one of them. So I believe it's your turn to put up 2.
Cool.
And we're going to have Tim pick one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
Right.
I also have some topics for discussion too, because I've been a listener, for 3 weeks.
Oh God!
Yelling at my radio in my car. Well, there's Hook and there's other things, I think. But anyway, the Hook's the main one. But anyway, so let's pick a topic for next week. Why don't you let me? I'll pick.
Okay.
So what do you got, Jules?
The 2 topics that I had. One of them was our top 5 favorite villains. That's kind of spanning whatever, however.
Okay.
And I kind of like your what you said last time, Kevin. our kind of favorite conspiracy theories. I wouldn't mind talking about either one of those two.
Fantastic. Does that get into real world conspiracy theories?
Yes, we're gonna have to talk to Chris at work.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the villains.
Okay, that's fantastic.
I don't want to hear anybody talk about like U.S. conspiracy theories.
So anyway, Eminem was replaced by a body double back in '96.
See, I'm cool with that stuff, okay? But we don't need to. I'm not even going to bring up the topics I don't want to discuss.
Done and done.
Yeah, we're doing.
So villains. Top 5 villains. All right.
Cool. So
we're each going to bring a list of our top 5 and fight it out.
Okay. Yeah, that works. I was going to say
what was you?
We bring like each of us bring 5 or 10 or so, and then we compile together a top 5 that we both agree on. It's kind of the same thing as what you just said. So,
yeah. So we'll
cool.
We'll do
top
that. We'll
5.
come up with our list of between 5 and 10, and I think between the 3 of us we can knock it out.
For sure. So we'd like to thank Adipsia for the use of his music. Don't let fuck me. Can we cut that? Let's cut that.
Nope, I'm leaving it in.
God damn it. All right. Adipsia, he's my friend. He just put out his album, The Stoic. Go to adipsia.bandcamp.com. Thank you for the use of his song, Friends Don't Let Friends. Go to TGI Fridays. And you can follow us on all the, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Nerdy Things Pod, Nerdy Things POD. And if you have a suggestion for anything you want us to talk about, let us know. You can email us. You can message us. Email is nerdythingspod@gmail.com.
I've got a suggestion.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Watch Hook. Have you watched it yet?
All right. See y'all. Have a good night.
All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.